Am I the asshole for kicking my friend out of my bedroom so my wife could take a nap? Throw away account. So, I 28M have a wife 27F who works full-time as a CNA while she is in school to become an autopsy technician. She works a lot. She is constantly picking up extra shifts, working doubles and even triples. She does all that on top of going to school full-time. Because of that, she often takes a nap after work. Well, yesterday, I had a friend over who I will call E. My wife and E do not get along as E makes her uncomfortable, but she and I don't prevent one another from seeing friends just because one of us doesn't like the other's friend. E was over at mine and my wife's house playing video games when my wife calls to tell me she's on her way home from work. She sounds exhausted and I asked her if she felt okay to drive, and if not I'd come pick her up from work and go back together the car later. She says she's fine to drive and that she'll see me later. I said okay and told her I loved her. E and I go back to playing video games. It is worth mentioning that the only TV my wife and I have is in our bedroom. I was laying on the bed playing and E was sitting in my desk chair. About 15 minutes or so later I hear my wife come in the house and call out to let me know she was home. I come into the living room and give her a kiss. She all but collapses into my arms, exhausted to the point she couldn't even walk to the bedroom. I ask her if she's okay and she says yay, just a long day at work. I really need a nap. I nodded and told her to come lay down in the bed. When we get to the bedroom I politely tell E that he needed to leave as my wife was exhausted and we could play later that night. E asks why he needs to leave and why my wife can't just sleep while he and I keep playing. I explained that it was just a game and that my wife and her needs came first. E then asks why my wife couldn't just take a nap on our living room couch. I told him I wasn't making her sleep on the sofa just because he wanted to keep playing. E gets pissed and slammed his controller down on the dresser and goes to leave. Before he does, he turns to my wife and tells her, "I'll bet you're happy he always feels like he has to pick you over anyone else." He leaves and slams the door on the way out. My wife turns to me and starts to apologize, saying she could have just slept on the couch. I tell her no, she couldn't have, and tell her to get some rest. Later that night my other friends are blowing up my phone saying things along the lines of bros before hoes and saying it was rude to kick E out just so my wife could sleep. All of my married friends however are on my side, saying my wife's needs come first before my friends. E is now saying he won't speak to me until I apologize. So am I the asshole? Not the asshole, but you need to get better friends. They sound awful. Not the asshole. Bros before HOS? She's your wife. Not just some chick you're sleeping with. Fuck that guy. Not the asshole, but why are you still friends with him? Making somebody uncomfortable and not liking someone are two entirely different things. His reaction to you saying your wife comes first tells you everything you need to know about what type of friend he is. The kind you stop being friends with. Not the asshole, because your wife needing to sleep is so much more important than playing video games. However, you need to reevaluate some of the friendships you have and ask yourself if you're comfortable with them disrespecting your wife. Not the asshole. Are you friends with a bunch of 16-year-olds? Of course you're not the asshole and your friend needs to grow up. Get rid of anyone that blew up your phone in the bros before hoes mentality. Please continue being a good husband, partner. Being any sort of healthcare worker right now is exhausting. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and dude, fuck your friends. Throw the whole fucking friend group out. Bros before hoes? So they are calling your wife a hoe now? You did the right thing putting your wife's needs before those of a man-child, and prioritizing her health and well-being over this lame-dicked asshole of a friend. Fuck E, he just helped weed himself out as a piece of shit and you are better off without him coming around. Focus on your wife and leave them on read. Side note. Paragraphs make this an easier read, lol. Not the asshole, you also need to get rid of this friend. That's just toxic. Would I be the asshole if I call the police on my 13-year-old son? My son, 13 male, has repeatedly stolen from us over the past 2 years. Each time he has denied it, even when we have found proof it was him. Last year he took my husband's M48 bank card, added it to his Google account on an old phone, and then spent $300 on a downloaded basketball game. We found it by accident when we found him on the phone, did a search of his Google account, and found the card linked to it. He completely denied it was him and blamed his younger brother, M10. His brother has his own phone and never uses his older brother's. There were consequences. We grounded him and took the old phone off him. The new phone is on Google Family Link, so we have a lock to prevent him buying anything. Yesterday we discovered that someone had made 2 payments on our credit card, one for a laptop for $2,000, which was declined, and the other for a bike for $3,000, which went through. We spoke to our credit card company and they refused to refund the money as we had been to the store before. The $2,000 attempted spend was at a store we use, but where we have never used the card before, hence it was declined. We went to the bike store where someone had spent $3,000 and they agreed to refund the money, minus the admin fee they get charged for refunds. They told us the order was placed online and printed the order for it. They said that it was a click and collect order. It had my husband's name on it, but my son's email address and telephone number. They said that they phoned the number after the order was made yesterday and spoke to the person who placed the order. They said that the person was clearly a child and was unhappy when they said that the cardholder had to be present when the bike was collected. We checked my son's email and there was no evidence of an order being placed, but there was evidence on his call log of a 2-minute call with the bike shop the day before. We also found an email from the computer shop in his email, and when we clicked on the account information, it opened in his Safari and had his username and password saved. When we went into the account, the $2,000 computer was in the basket. Despite all the evidence against him, he has blamed his younger brother. His younger brother was on my laptop, in the lounge with me when the 2 incidents happened, so we know it was not him. My husband had left his wallet out, and the card was still there, so we know the card has not been dropped, stolen. My eldest swears blind it was not him. This is a significant amount of money, that we cannot afford, and we are very lucky to have got most of it. My question is, would I be the asshole if I go to the police? Info. What are you expecting the police to do? Sounds like your son needs therapy. Before trying to scare him, consulting a child psychologist would be your best move. They can assess the problem and guide you from there. This isn't a police thing. This is an involved child services thing, and see what resources they have for you and your son. You are the asshole. Your parenting clearly isn't working, and even if you go to the police, you're responsible for your son and have to pay for this stuff. Your children both likely need therapy and you could benefit from parenting classes. There's a reason your son is acting out. You need to find out what that is. Edit. The same child has already shown pyromaniac tendencies. The fact he already isn't in therapy is neglect. YWBTA. What do you expect them to do? This is not something they can solve. First, make sure he cannot use your cards again. I use a double verification system where I have to put my password and a unique code sent to my phone to verify my payments. Secondly, make him pay back the money he stole. You can help him sell some of his stuff. Or give him, other than his usual chores, to work of his debt. He must learn his actions have consequences. Talk to your doctor about getting him therapy. Yes, YWBTA. The police are not substitute parents. There's no good outcome. Either they do nothing, and your child finds out that you are powerless to control him, or they throw him in jail and he has a police record which would affect his life forever. Plus, it seems as though you want to go from doing very little to nuclear. Taken away his phone? Taken away all electronics? Given him chores to pay back money he stole? Taken him to therapy? Anything? Seems like you're counting on Google Family or other apps to do your parenting for you. Edited to add. Yes, I see you claimed to take the old phone away. But then you gave him a new phone. Some punishment. Your son needs professional help, not being in the criminal justice system. YWBTA. This is a parenting issue. Does your son have a therapist? What have you done to address this? Am I the asshole for reminding my father-in-law that I'm sleeping with his daughter at a family event? So my fiancé's old man is a hard ass. He's just a classic man's man, beer, guns, and whiskey guy. I'm the exact opposite. I write poetry, I design clothes, I work in an office. I'm just not like how he thinks a man should be, and he never lets me forget. He constantly makes it a point to remind me that I better hold on to his daughter, as she's used to having real men in her life and a real man might come and snatch her up. He also loves to insinuate that I am gay, which I really am not a fan of. Her brothers are similar, and make sure I know that I'm a pretty boy and not a manly man, so if I ever wrong their baby sister they'll come after me. Last week I went to dinner at her family's house with her parents, her brothers and their wives. Prior to dinner, the men went out while the women cooked. I tried to stay with the women, but my fiancé told me it'd make her really happy if I found some way to bond with the guys in her family. So I went out and it was unpleasant. At first we were talking about football until her brother asked me if I was ever a cheerleader, as I look like the type to wear a skirt. This began a maybe 4-minute-long session of them mocking my sexuality and masculinity. I tried to be level-headed, but this type of behavior has been happening for the last 4 years. I snapped. I looked at her father in the eye and said, and I quote, "Next time you call me gay, just remember that I regularly fuck the shit out of your daughter." This of course was considered out of line and I was met with yelling and an argument ensued. The women came outside and her dad said that I need to leave and that I'm too vulgar for this family and I don't respect him, which I don't. My fiancé fought for me to stay, but I was tired of it. My fiancé left with me and she was pissed off at me but not her dad. She said that I need to be the bigger person and I'm not making my relationship with her family any better. I didn't really have a way to defend myself as she's right that what I said shouldn't have been said, but I think I'm not an asshole as I have endured this for 4 years and made one clap back in that time. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This is all cute and funny about your comeback, but the longer-term issue is serious. You need to think about this woman, if she is going to be a good partner. You need to say to her very seriously, "Are you okay with them calling me a cheerleader, gay and not a real man?" She will say, "Oh, that's just them, you know how they are. Is that how you want to live till you're 70 or more?" Her defending these clan members to you? Does your fiancé know how you're treated? My father was extremely inappropriate to my then fiancé now husband at Christmas and I shut that shit down immediately. I will always and forever defend my husband and if my family crosses a line or makes him uncomfortable in any way, they get one chance to rectify their behavior. We aren't going to my family's Christmas this coming year because of their behavior last Christmas, for example. Not the asshole. She should have shut that behavior down or gone LC/NC with them long ago. Tell fiancé she has to finally stand up to her family and put an end to the mocking. They're probs not gonna like you anyway, but she's not doing a good job of standing up for you. If they are messed up in other ways, you may need to tell her you may have to reconsider the marriage if it gets to that bad of a point. In descending order of assholishness. 1. Phil and Bills are obviously homophobic assholes. 2. Your fiancé is not only not standing up for you, she's throwing you to the wolves. 3. Using your fiancé's bedroom activities as a shield is gross. I know it's a bit l'esprit d'escalier, but you should have asked your brother-in-law why he's so interested in picturing you in a skirt. Straight dudes generally aren't obsessed with seeing other guys dressed like ladies. Does it excite him? Does he secretly wish you were gay, and that's why they keep bringing it up? Sounds like someone has a crush on you. Not the asshole. Honestly, I'm surprised she's never stood up for you. Her dad and brothers are bullies, and you finally had enough. I love the comeback though, honestly hilarious. I think your wife is the asshole here. It's her family, and if she's not willing to stand up to them and let them know you win every single time in her book, so if they want a relationship with her they have to stop abusing her spouse. Otherwise, no more family visits. Not the asshole, but I would seriously reconsider this marriage if your fiancé isn't going to stick up for you to her family. The whole group is super toxic, and if you're not allowed to clap back now then you never will be. You will spend the rest of your marriage and/or life hating your in-laws and waiting for your wife to choose you over her family. Not the asshole. Old Phil will never ever get that comment out of his mind. And the same with the brothers. They are the typical, dish it out, but can't take it when it is returned to them. Tell fiancé to stop putting her insulting father ahead of you. She is engaged to you and the rest of her family is now the extended family. Would I be the asshole if I told my best friend her engagement ring is fake? Hey everyone, using a throwaway as my best friend knows my Reddit and I don't want her seeing this yet as I'm honestly torn and looking for input here. So my best friend recently got engaged to her boyfriend of 6 years. She showed me the ring talking about how beautiful it is and how she loves the diamond. There is one small issue, I know that isn't a diamond. Honestly pretty sure the ring itself isn't even silver. You may wonder how I know this. No, I'm not able to tell if jewels are authentic at a glance. I'm a manager of a bookshop in our local shopping center and when I'm on my lunch break I like to wander about and check out the stalls there. I recognize this exact ring from one of the jewelry stalls that sells costume jewelry. It has the same butterfly pattern on the side of the ring that made me recognize it in the first place. Now, before anyone thinks otherwise, I don't think it's important for a ring to be expensive or authentic. You can propose with a ring pop for all I care. What matters is that your relationship is a good one, but I dunno. The fact he has made her think this is a legit diamond? It doesn't sit well with me. I don't like that he is starting out their relationship with a lie, especially as I know she wouldn't have minded being proposed to with a cubic zirconia or whatever this is. I don't want to cause trouble between them, but I also don't like keeping silent about this when she's clearly being deceived. Would I be the asshole in telling her? A diamond wouldn't be set in silver. And lots of fake rings are near identical copies of real rings. Your best bet is to suggest she get the ring appraised, because that is good advice for anyone. Otherwise, leave it alone. If the metal is cheap, unfortunately it may turn her finger green. If that happens, let her know why it may be happening. Not the asshole. Suggest she get the ring insured and they will appraise it and tell her it's fake. You could always ask her if she's gotten it insured yet. Mine is attached to my homeowner's insurance. The ring would have to be appraised and she would be able to find out that way. I just wouldn't tell her bluntly that you think it's fake since you aren't 100% positive. There are tons of CZ and sterling silver rings that are styled after diamond and gold rings. Take her shopping to the mall. Go check out the stall. Oh wow, that ring looks just like yours. Sounds shady because well it kind of is. But the girl should know it's a cheap ass knockoff before her finger turns green. Not the asshole. However, that ring is going to reveal its crappy self very quickly. Personally, I would save myself the drama of getting involved. You are between a rock and a hard place. Don't go and say, your ring is fake and he got it at wherever. You don't need to say anything at all. But if you do, compliment it first and don't actually up and say it's the same one that you saw elsewhere. Just that you've seen more styles like that lately at a place by your work that sells pretty costume jewelry or promise rings and that it must be a style that's gaining popularity. Truth is, it could be real. The amount of knockoffs that can be found of real jewelry at stalls like the one you're talking about is crazy. You could probably find 5 rings exactly like mine with differing qualities of materials in one decent-sized mall. Just something to heavily consider. I understand why you are concerned for your friend. Her fiancé may be lying to her. And if it's really a cheap ring, it will likely break and/or degrade quickly, being worn daily. Alternatively, she could actually know its value but not want to mention it. Or it could be a real diamond ring, and the one by your work is a knockoff. You're not doing this to be nosy, but it could be upsetting for her or stir up unnecessary drama in her relationship. YWBTA if you just straight up said to her, that's fake. You would not be the asshole if you asked her if she's gotten it insured yet, implying a ring that beautiful and dollar deserves to be insured. That will get you your answer or will prompt her to consider having it appraised, which means she'll find out its true value on her own. Info. Did your friend specifically say, diamond?